him and I have both kind of been put in similar boxes in our careers in terms of being maybe overlooked or underrated. Though he's had an amazing career, and I think I've done okay myself too. But definitely a guy I'm looking forward to getting in the ring with. And Mustafa Ali, I didn't have a relationship with before, just when I met him in Louisiana. But man, what he brings to the table is incredible. What a performer! What a good human being! What a passionate guy.
He is one of the true pillars of TNA wrestling, and they have a big event coming up here in March, Sacrifice. Someone who also has a lot of personal issues that have come to a head on national television. Frankie Kazarian with us here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. Frankie, what's going on? You went off on Eric Young, longtime friend of yours. Turn on him. You claim you saved TNA. Well, TNA is in this big transitional period. What is going on? You got suspended last week too. That's not good.
I did, yeah. I've decided it's the year that I take matters into my own hands, and some might say I went a little bit too far. I would disagree, but so be it. So yeah, I've been suspended, which is basically a paid vacation for me, so I'm okay with that. I can enjoy this weekend's event from the comfort of my home in beautiful Southern California. So all is fine with me.
Well, this is where I have to ask a hard question. Eric Young, who many people feels waving the flag at TNA right now, and someone you were tagging with, you guys weren't successful. You guys have gone your separate ways. You assaulted him. Some people still want some explanation for that, and now he's challenging Moose for the world title. Do you have a pick in who's going to win that match?
I mean, look, with those two performers, it could go either way. I mean, those are, you talk about pillars of the company. Both those guys certainly, share that moniker. Moose more recently, but EY, he dates back to when I was there in the very, very early days. And both guys that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, whether I like them or not. But, Moose is Moose is riding high. Moose is riding very high right now, especially with the system behind him. But Eric Young has kind of made a career out of defying the odds and beating people when it was least expected. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled it off this Friday.
All right. Possibility there. Yeah. Now, TNA's gone through a lot of different changes. Obviously, going back to the TNA name, you certainly made a name for yourself in the breakout period of TNA. What do you consider the longevity of the brand? Because it's been through so many different things, ownership changes, the channel changing, all these different things, big names coming and going, but the brand has stayed throughout all of this and now is TNA again. What do you lend itself in all of that?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, there's an audience that has been with us since day one, and without them, we wouldn't be here. We really, like you said, I was around here when they said the company wouldn't last, 6 months, 6 weeks, a year, 2 years.
That was over 10 years ago.
Right, right. Yeah. I've been hearing, about the demise of TNA since June of 2003. So I kind of, that's neither here nor there anymore. People can say that, and they're going to continue to say that. We're going to continue to prove them wrong. But, our audience, has always been there for us. And, and then, you got, the talent, TNA has always brought their A game in terms of in-ring ability. That's kind of, in terms of the early days of the X Division, in the mid 2000s when, you had guys like AJ and the Dudleys and Kurt Angle and Christian and myself and Bobby Roode and Chris Daniels, Samoa Joe. We're never short on in-ring talent, and that still is the case to this day. And, the fans know what to expect when they watch Impact Wrestling, and, they trust us. They've been there for us, and we've been there for them. And now with the rebrand and going back to the TNA name, that's really generated a lot of excitement in the industry. And, we're kicking on all cylinders right now.
So let's talk about some recent names that joined TNA recently.
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali, Nic Nemeth. Of course, Simon Gotch came in and got into it as well with Josh Alexander. It always feels like TNA is a place for people to, if they have that chip on their shoulder, they're going to bring it in and they're going to blow it off. You've seen people do this over and over again. Does TNA play that role, you think, in the industry in a good way, in terms of just being like a more unfiltered creative outlet for some performers?
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't get that somewhere else?
Yeah, and I was one of those guys when I came back. I had that chip on my shoulder, and I sort of still do. But guys want to prove their worth, and they don't want to let someone else's opinion of them devalue what they think they bring to the table. And I respect that because, like I said, I was one of those guys. I am one of those guys, and TNA is really good at showcasing guys that didn't necessarily get that where they were previously. You're talking about a guy like Nic Nemeth. I mean, the day I found out he was going to be available, I, immediately called management and said, we need him here. And a couple of us did. He's a guy that I've known for a long time. I've never had the opportunity to wrestle him. And him and I have both kind of been put in similar boxes in our careers in terms of being maybe overlooked or underrated. Though he's had an amazing career, and I think I've done okay myself too. But definitely a guy I'm looking forward to getting in the ring with. And Mustafa Ali, I didn't have a relationship with before, just when I met him in Louisiana. But, man, what he brings to the table is incredible. What a performer, what a good human being, what a passionate guy. And both those guys are very welcome additions into our locker room.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you itching to have a match with either one of them pretty soon?
Both, man. Anytime. Like I said, Nick's a guy that I've really admired what he does inside of a wrestling for a long time, and I've really, he's one of those guys. And people talk about dream matches. I don't really like that word, but certainly a guy I'm very interested in getting in there with. And Mustafa, also seeing him live for the first time this last week in New Orleans, phenomenal performer. Just watching him and Chris Sabin just put on an incredible match. I was a fan, and I was like, okay, he belongs, and he belongs in the ring, and I would like to be in the ring with him one day.
Of course, TNA has their own streaming service now, refined, rebooted, TNA Plus. You'll be able to get this big sacrifice card on there coming up on March 8th. And of course, a lot of your past is on there. Maybe some of your biggest matches ever are on this. When you fire this up, when you look at your old tape, when you think, man, I just need a boost. I've done this. I'm a comic, right? I'll pull up tape because we're all narcissistic. We're creative performers, right? Yeah. To a healthy degree, right? And we're like, when was I good at this? I hated that, but when was I good at? Is there a time when you pull this up and maybe you even show it to family, or maybe you say like that, I want to top that? What are the matches for you when you know you have the opportunity to have the best match of the night? When you say, that's when I knew I stole the card. That's when I knew I had the best match of the night.
So full disclosure, if I'm watching something from the past, which I do, I will watch old matches, especially the study guys I maybe am not familiar with, or guys that I've not been in there in the ring with for a while. But full disclosure, I have not watched myself wrestle in well over a decade.
Is it just too hard? You're like, I hate this, I don't like that, or
I know whether it was good or bad when it happened. Yeah. I have an unhealthy relationship with watching myself. I am hypercritical to a point where I will pick myself apart. I will pick the bones till there's nothing left. And that's just kind of how I always am. I'm a perfectionist. I'm my own worst critic. And it would be borderline depressing. I would get so angry at myself for the stupidest stuff that nobody would even see, but I would see. So it's been way over a decade. And I know the minute it's over, whether it was, okay, that was something special, or that was, that was rough. And also, I think down the line, well after my days of being an in-ring competitor are done, it'll give me something to sit back and watch,
okay.
Because I know,
let the queue build up.
Yeah. That's just it, I know how it felt up here and in here. So now, one day if I sit with my son and watch those matches, it'll be like, that was, it'll all kind of be new again. But right now I'm just kind of still too close to it. But having said that, I do watch, I can't say I watch modern wrestling a lot, but I go back and study those I grew up loving. And I watch the stuff that I loved as a kid. I watch, some recent TNA stuff, some older TNA stuff, and, always studying.
Mm-hmm. What were some of those highlights for you? Say, like I said, best match of the night when you knew that, hey, if you want to check out my stuff, if you've never seen a Frankie Kazarian match before, what's the first match you want fans to see?
There's a few. I mean, like chronologically going back from recent to oldest. My match, the Killer Impact match I had with Eddie Edwards last fall, which was the culmination of a pretty intense feud. I'm very proud of that match. We laid it all on the line. It's such a tremendous amount of respect for Eddie Edwards. He's a pro's pro, a locker room leader, a veteran, a great human being. That match really, I think, represented what we're both all about. We both come from Killer Kowalski's pro wrestling school, so it was a very, the whole thing had a very personal feel to it. My match even before I signed as a regular with guys like Speedball Mike Bailey, and then I had a world title match with Josh Alexander, where we went almost 40 minutes. Very proud of those matches too. Then going back further, you look at a match from Slammiversary from 2012, me and Chris Daniels against AJ Styles and Kurt Angle. Woo. Another one we knew we knocked it out of the park that night. It was just clicking on all cylinders. Kurt, I think, has gone on record as saying that's the best tag team match he ever had, which is, mind blowing for me when you think of the guys he's been in the ring with. And then you go back even further and wrestling Kurt Angle in a singles match for the world title the night after I wrestled Christian Cage in a ladder match in 2007. Those are certainly highlight type matches for me that stick out. And then you also want to throw in every X Division Ultimate X match too. It's like I have
let's not forget those. Those
yeah, right. An embarrassment of riches almost, but it's like I've been blessed to be in so many big moments in this company. It's really cool, and it is going to be fun to look back on once I'm an old man with a beverage in my hand with my feet up, watching myself without that critical eye.
I like that you don't see yourself there yet. I appreciate that.
No, man, I got too much gas in the tank, man.
Yeah, there you go. So that leads me to this question. There are guys who get to a certain point in their career and you think, what's left? What other accomplishment? You have those belts behind you, right?
Yeah.
And those are accomplishments. Those are things you work towards and attained, and then you work towards the next goal. And there's so many people in pro wrestling that are highly driven. What is the next goal? What is the next mountaintop for you?
Yeah. I mean, again, I've been blessed to be part of every company that's out there basically. And I've held titles in every company, but I've never been the guy. I've never been the world champion of a major company. And that is my goal in TNA. And I made that clear when I came back. I've certainly made it clear this year. I've worked very hard, and that's the one that's eluded me. And certainly, to finally be a TNA world champion, after starting with the company over 20 years ago would be a huge, monumental success story for me and for those that have been on the ride with me.
Absolutely. And certainly some people who've been following you for years, like myself, would be very intrigued to see that happen. Yeah. Frankie, if they want to follow you on socials, where do they go?
Twitter and Instagram, I'm most active. Twitter is just Frankie Kazarian. Instagram is Frankie Kazarian _official. Pretty active on there. Most of my stuff is, I talk a lot about music. I'll post some pics of me smoking a cigar, enjoying some music. It's pretty entertaining if I do say so myself. Not a whole lot of wrestling talk, but I do throw some wrestling talk in there. But those are where I'm pretty much most active.
I work in rock radio for Q101 awesome. In Chicago. And 104.9 The X in Rockford. I did want to sneak this in, but I didn't want to go over time. What are you listening to? What shows are you excited to go and see? I know you're a big Metallica fan, the No Repeat Weekend tour. Everyone I know that's gone to that has lost their mind about it and said it was great.
Yeah, that was great. I saw that last summer here in LA. That was awesome. There's a couple shows I got to look at my schedule. I know Godsmack is going to be close to me. I've never seen them as a headliner. I've seen them as a support act for Metallica. Mm-hmm. Billy Idol's close to me. I've been a huge Billy Idol fan for years. I haven't seen him either, so I'm really looking forward to that. In terms of what I'm listening to, if you watch the most recent TNA TV 2 weeks ago, there's a band called Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, which are now
Motorhead. Yeah,
yes,
sure.
Yes, Phil Campbell and his legitimate sons. They are now doing my entrance music is a song called Kings of the Asylum, which they perform, and they're an incredible band. I really plead anybody that was a Motorhead fan to check them out, because they are direct descendants of Motorhead. It's Phil Campbell, who was the Motorhead guitarist for the last 20 years, and that band rocks, man. They're incredible. So if you get anything out of this, please check them out. They're insanely good.
Absolutely. Now next time I see you, I'm gonna have to talk Motorhead with you. So
we can do that for hours, my friend.
We'll be off the rails. Frankie, thank you so much for the time, man. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thank you, bud. Appreciate you.
Have a good one.
Yep, you also.